In 1457, King James II of Scotland did something no ruler had done before. He officially banned golf. His soldiers were neglecting archery, the backbone of the nation's defense, to chase a ball across windswept coastal fields. With England threatening war, the crown could not afford the distraction. The game was forbidden, and yet that outlawed pastime did not just survive. It became a billion-dollar global sport. That story starts with a queen. Mary Stuart, Queen of Scots, strode across the dew-soaked links at Holyrood, her French upbringing never far behind. In the mid-1500s, her court diaries and letters mention a game that sounded much like golf, played in the company of young French officers, her cadets. These attendants did not just watch, they carried her clubs, fetched her balls, and stood ready for her next shot. The word they used was cadet, a title for junior officers in the French court. But in the Scottish air, the word softened, reshaped by local tongues into Caddy. A 1599 pamphlet from Edinburgh records the change. The young men that bear the clubs are called caddies after the French cadets. The spelling sticks, and so does the roll. Mary's presence on the links gave the game a new sheen of legitimacy. When a queen played, so did her court, and the pastime that once drew royal scorn now drew royal favor. The profession of caddy, born from a French word and a Scottish queen's habit, would become as much a part of the game as the clubs themselves. Mary's story lingers in the language of golf, a living reminder that social cachet and a well-placed word can lift a pastime from the margins to the heart of national culture. In her footsteps, golf moved from outlawed distraction to an aristocratic obsession, setting the stage for the rules and rituals that would soon define the sport. In 1744, a group of Edinburgh gentlemen gathered at LIV Links to solve a problem that had dogged the game for centuries: chaos on the course. Disputes over lost balls, hazards, and what counted as fair play had turned friendly matches into arguments. That spring, the Honorable Company of Edinburgh Golfers wrote down 13 rules, neatly inked on vellum. This was golf's first formal rulebook. The articles described where to tee off, how to play the ball as it lay, and what to do if your shot ended up in a ditch or beyond the course boundary. Penalties were spelled out. Each player had to keep a written score. For the first time, golf had a common language, a framework that could be enforced, debated, and most importantly, shared. St. Andrews, already legendary for its windswept links, soon took these rules as its own. In 1754, the Society of St. Andrews adopted the 13 Articles, declaring itself the guardian of the game's customs. Their meeting minutes recorded the decision: the LIV rules would be the law of golf. Within a decade, clubs across Scotland and England followed suit. St. Andrews' endorsement turned a local code into a national standard. The groundwork was laid for golf's next leap, a game that could scale, innovate, and welcome new technology without losing its soul. In 1848, a Scottish grocer named Robert Patterson filed a patent that would change the economics of golf forever. Until then, every ball was a Featherie, hand-stitched leather packed with goose feathers, so costly that only the wealthy could afford to lose one in the rough. Patterson's answer came from halfway around the world: Gutty, a tough rubbery sap from Southeast Asian trees. He molded it into solid balls, and for the first time, golf equipment could be mass-produced. Factory ledgers from St. Andrews record the numbers. Within 7 years, the cost of a Gutty ball dropped from a shilling to just a quarter of that. Advertisements in the Scotsman promised a ball that was not only cheaper, but more durable and better suited to the windswept links. By the 1860s, players could buy a dozen balls for the price of a single Featherie. The game opened up, no longer reserved for the elite. but now within reach for shopkeepers, apprentices, and clerks. Patterson's innovation didn't just lower the price, it expanded the very idea of who could play. Steel arrived quietly on the fairways, but its impact was anything but subtle. In 1925, the USGA approved the use of steel shafts, breaking with centuries of hickory tradition. The decision, recorded in the October meeting minutes, allowed clubs with steel shafts up to half an inch in diameter and a maximum weight of 1.5 pounds. Engineers soon tested the new material, finding an average gain of nearly 3 yards per shot with a standard 7-iron compared to hickory. That extra distance forced course designers to rethink layouts, stretching fairways, and repositioning hazards to keep up with the modern swing. Steel shafts did not just add power, they brought consistency, making every club in the bag more reliable. By the end of the decade, the hickory era faded. Steel became the new standard, setting the stage for a generation of power hitters and a game that would soon demand even bigger stages. In 1962, golf stepped into America's living rooms and never left. Arnold Palmer, already known as the King, became the face of the sport's first national television deal. ABC Sports rolled the dice, carving out a 2-hour slot for the US Open, betting that Palmer's charisma could draw an audience beyond country clubs and pro shops. Nielsen reports from that summer tell the story. Over 3 million households tuned in, a number that would more than double by 1965. The commercials followed, with Coca-Cola and General Motors buying up ad space at a premium. $12,500 for 30 seconds, more than double the previous year's rate. Palmer's handshake with American Express in 1963 set a new standard for athlete endorsements, netting him $250,000 a year. His relaxed, approachable style made him a household name, and for the first time, golf was marketed as a sport for everyone, not just the elite. Palmer's television presence created a blueprint. The game wasn't just played on grass, but broadcast in prime time, with sponsors eager to hitch their brands to a new kind of star. Then came Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, whose 18 major championships became the benchmark for greatness. Nicklaus's dominance set expectations not just for competition, but for what the sport and its stars could earn. The Palmer and Nicklaus era laid the foundation for golf as a business, proving that a single broadcast could move millions in ad revenue and turn players into global icons. The floodgates were open, and the economics of golf would never be the same. Tiger Woods strode onto the Augusta fairways in April 1997, and, in 4 days, changed the economics of golf forever. His victory at the Masters wasn't just a win, it was a seismic event. Television ratings for the final round tripled, drawing nearly 44 million viewers, the largest golf audience ever measured in the United States. By the end of that year, CBS and NBC had signed a new TV rights deal worth $800 million, quadrupling the previous contract. Sponsors scrambled to get a piece of the Tiger phenomenon. Nike's signature line with Woods sold $600 million in gear within a decade. The surge did not stop at the broadcast booth or the pro shop. Tournament purses soared. The winner's check at the Masters hit $1 million for the first time in 1997, and by 2008, the US Open purse had reached $10 million. Merchandise sales more than tripled, with golf apparel and equipment flying off shelves. The so-called Tiger effect rippled across every level of the sport. Even the courses themselves began to change. Tiger's average drive stretched nearly 35 yards longer than the tour average in the early 2000s, forcing storied venues like Augusta and Bethpage Black to spend millions on lengthening holes and adding hazards, a process known as Tiger proofing. Between 1999 and 2008, the PGA Tour spent $45 million on course redesigns, all to keep up with a single player's power and precision. Tiger didn't just dominate the game, he rewrote its financial playbook, setting the stage for a new era where superstar economics could shake the very foundations of the sport. LIV Golf didn't just offer players a new tour, it rewrote the rules of the sport's financial universe. Leaked term sheets from 2022 revealed signing bonuses that dwarfed anything in golf's history: $50 million for rising stars, $200 million for household names. These weren't just contracts, they were golden handcuffs, backed by the Saudi Public Investment Fund, a sovereign reserve with over $2.3 billion earmarked for golf alone. UK companies' house filing show LIV's war chest, while annual operating costs soared past $750 million, most of it funneled straight into prize money and player salaries. But the money came with strings. Players signed strict non-disclosure agreements, committed to a minimum of 10 PIF sponsored events each season, and faced $5 million in penalties for missing media appearances or charity exhibitions in Saudi Arabia. Critics, from investigative journalists to Amnesty International, called it sports washing, a calculated effort to launder a nation's reputation through the glamour of professional golf. The stakes grew as the PGA Tour lost $200 million in sponsorships, while LIV secured a $250 million broadcast deal with Discovery Plus, signaling a new era of global competition. By 2023, the conflict reached regulators on both sides of the Atlantic. The US Department of Justice and the European Commission opened antitrust investigations, poring over merger proposals and exclusive contracts. Justice filings questioned whether a unified circuit would choke off competition, while European Commission documents scrutinized the power of Saudi capital in shaping the future of the game. The merger talks dragged on, with leaked proposals debating revenue splits, 55% to the PGA and 45% to LIV, and the fate of player eligibility for golf's biggest stages. What began as a rivalry between leagues became a test of who controls the soul of golf, legacy institutions, or nation-state capital. The outcome remains unresolved, with billions at stake and the sport's identity hanging in the balance. Golf now moves billions, shapes politics, and sparks global debate, yet it remains, at its core, a test of nerve and focus. As the sport's future is brokered in boardrooms, what truly endures is played out in silence between player and course. Is Tiger still the greatest of all time after everything? Or does Nicklaus hold the crown? Let us know in the comments.